Hello and welcome to the QVS U.S. History course. My name is Mrs. Sedmak and I wanted to take the opportunity today to introduce myself and show you around the course page so that you can get a successful start to the school year. I've been teaching with QSI for a very long time. Currently, I am living in Benin, which is in West Africa. I've lived in many of the different places around the world where we have QVS schools, many of the places which you probably are currently residing. It's very exciting to live internationally and to be able to travel and learn about different cultures around the world, especially because my passion is history and cultural studies. I want to take you to the course page and show you around the new learning platform so that you can be very comfortable working within the context of Canvas, and then also explain to you what you will be doing with in the context of Essential Unit 1. This is the first unit that we will engage in this year. But before we go to the page, just a little bit something about the U.S. History course. Of course, you know that it is required for an academic diploma with QSI, and that's probably why you are enrolled in the class this year. In QSI, we are a mastery-based system. We believe that everyone can be successful and that we are supposed to break down those barriers to success, and hopefully I can help you do that this year. There are essential units and selective units in the U.S. history course, 8 essential units to be specific, and then in order to fulfill the 10-unit requirement, we will do 2 selective units within the context of the year. The interesting thing about this class is it is thematically based, so it's not your typical U.S. history class outside of Essential Unit 1, where we will kind of do like a broad overview of the country's history. Every essential unit that you will do has what we call a compelling question that you should be able to draw some conclusions on by the time we get to the end of the unit. And then the 2 selective units that we will do this year, one of them will run concurrently with some of our essential units, and one of them will run independently in the month of December. The first one is called History Through Film, so we'll take a look at some motion pictures and see what we can learn about history through popular culture. And then the other one is called History Through Music, and that's the one that will be running concurrently with many of our essential units. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's go to the course page. Let me show you around so that you can learn about how to be successful in the course, what distinguishes an A from a B, and how to get started with Essential Unit 1. So let's go to the course page. So when you log into Canvas on your dashboard, you should have access to the U.S. History class. Perhaps I'll put this in student view right now so I have on my screen what you will see. There's lots of good features here to help you understand what to do and how to navigate the page. I direct you to the menu on the side over to the left here, where you can see that there are general announcements that will be made from time to time. You can access the grade book by clicking on grades. You can get to know some of the other people in the class by clicking here. And then if you want to just get to work, click on modules, and that will take you to where all of the work is contained for the class this year. There's some calendar features over here off to the right so that you know when Essential Unit 1 begins and ends and when we'll move on to the next unit. Just to get a general understanding of the course, you can go ahead and read this paragraph here. It explains to you that it is a thematic-based history class. We are not going to be studying U.S. history from beginning to end like you typically do in a history class, I should say. Instead, we're going to study major themes within the context of the country's history. There are some important features here for you to look at before you click on modules. So make sure you go through the course syllabus. So if you go ahead and open here, you'll be able to get access to my email, learn about my office hours, which I'm pretty much available anytime. You can contact me in Teams chat. We will have a Teams course page also This gives you a little bit of a description. Like I said, there are 8 essential units. We have to do 10 units, so we will do 2 selective units along with the course prerequisites, the required materials, and if you want to take a look at each of the units that we'll be doing this year, you can click on any of these links to learn more about each one. Essential Unit 1 is called the Big Picture. We're going to do a broad overview of the entire country's history. And then we will dabble into some different themes like what defines America. We'll be looking and considering what is the American character. The U.S. is a nation of immigrants, so we will take a look at the immigrant experience, and then, as you can see, so much more. The tentative course schedule can be found here. We'll spend about a month on each unit, although you can see with the selective units, that is not the case, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the attendance policy, classroom behavior, and expectations. So let's go back from the syllabus and see what's next. If you want to learn a little bit more about me, you can click on instructor information. I'll give you a little description of what I like to do when I'm not teaching, and also how I'm available for appointments. I think there's even like a little video in here somewhere about me, another video if you want to watch. This is important, this pacing chart. It gives you an understanding of what we will be doing unit from unit and month to month. So try to stay on pace if you want to be successful and finish the course by the end of the year. If you ever have problem with any questions related to tech, you can click here and send an email to our tech support team. The grading policy is here. This is really important for you to understand. We are a mastery-based system, so with that, most of your grades will be either A or B, and in order for you to understand how to earn an A, I do have rubrics specific to each of the essential units, and we'll take a look at that when we get a little bit farther into the course. And then you can see that there is some details about how we progress through the units. So in order for you to move on to Essential Unit 2, you have to have mastered Essential Unit 1. And in fact, here are those unit rubrics. So if you click on one of them, you can be taken to an outside source, and that is opening right now. And I will scroll down through Essential Unit 1. And you can see the distinguishing factors between A level and B level. It is an inquiry-based class, and much of your A level will be determined on the degree of inquiry, how well you respond to the compelling question by the end of the unit. So that is the grade policy. Let's go back, and then you can see that there's even more information. Announcements here. If you want a digital copy of the textbook, all the information that you need is here. You can definitely go to your course monitor in your school and get a physical copy of the textbook, but it is pretty much a self-contained class, meaning all of the resources that you need for the course are here on the page. And in fact, here's another link where you can access some other course resources that I feel are really valuable for this class. And then we get into the modules. So after you review all of this information, because I did go through it fairly quickly, read through the syllabus, read through the grading policy, so on and so forth. But when you want to get started, you want to click here on modules, and this is where you will have access to Essential Unit 1. Okay, and if I go ahead and close that, you can see all of the modules that we will do this year are here. But as I stated before, in order for you to open and access Module 2, you have to complete or master Module number 1, Essential Unit 1, called the Big Picture. So let's go ahead and open this one, and I'll explain to you the context of this unit. I like this one in starting out because it does kind of give you a broad overview of lots of different features of American history, some of which you're probably really familiar with if you've taken a world history course before, especially the United States has played a pivotal role in 20th century history in the world, and maybe some of which you are not so familiar with perhaps the colonial period and the revolutionary period within the context of the country's history. So if you click here, you'll get a broad overview of the different time periods that I am going to aim to introduce to you in this unit. The unit is open for 4 weeks, so you pretty much have the entire month to master it. I do have the assignments or activities broken down from week to week. So in this video, I'll mostly just talk about what you should do in week 1. But essentially, here are the different time periods. So early colonial settlement, we'll take a look at British colonization of the 13 colonies on the Atlantic seaboard, the American Revolution, the early period in the country's history when they became a new nation, which eventually led into civil war, America's industrial age at the end of the 19th century, and then we'll move in with periods 7, 8, and 9 into the 20th century, and we'll take a look at World War I and World War II, the Cold War, and then beyond. So these are the different periods broken down in U.S. history. The aim of this unit is to give you a broad overview of all of them, and the compelling question for this unit I really like, and I want to kind of throw it out there right now, is of the periods outlined in this unit, which one most defines the United States of America? So you know those 9 periods I just had on the screen just a few seconds ago. I want your initial thoughts on that compelling question. So if you go ahead and open up this tab here, it's like a discussion that we'll have back and forth between you and your classmates. And just like from the outset, like maybe with no prior knowledge or a little bit of prior knowledge, which one of those periods do you think was most defining for the country and its history? And I know I kind of skipped down into week 1 assignments, but there's some good information here for you to help you kind of get familiar with all of these different periods in U.S. history. In fact, this first reading that you're going to do, this case study, will give you that broad overview. So if you know nothing about U.S. history, it's really important that you take some time and read over this overview of U.S. history. We do have a project for this unit. I will talk a little bit more about it in my next video, but I have created a PowerPoint template for you. And then here's the grade rubric that we looked at a little bit before and how to achieve mastery. So let's move down further into week 1 assignments. There's that compelling question. So I want you to do that today on your first day. And please don't do a ton of research related to it. Just look at those time periods, look at the names of the different time periods and which one stands out to you as like the most defining. Like if you think of Civil War and what a Civil War might do for a country, do you think that was defining? Or do you think that the U.S. entering the world stage and becoming an important player in the world wars, was that more defining? Just kind of throw your ideas out there in that first forum. And then the rest of this week is all about getting an introduction to the unit presentation, getting familiar with U.S. geography. So go ahead and do this and you'll be identifying some different places within the context of the American landscape. You're going to have to read that case study that I mentioned before. And then with the case study, your big job this week is to create a concept map. So if you go ahead and click on this assignment, it explains for you exactly what you need to do and what a concept map looks like. And I know this is going to sound really challenging because essentially you have to take all of these pages within the context of this reading and present them on one page. So this is what we call a concept map or a one-pager. I will give you some examples of what a few of them from last year looked like. Some people, some students broke it down into different time periods, but I do want you to have some graphics on there. I do want you to have some vocabulary words on there too. Okay, so going back in a nutshell, that's your quick introduction to the course and a quick explanation of what you need to do this week in order to be successful in your first week of QVS US history. Again, my name is Mrs. Sedmak. If you ever have any